Good morning. We continue our segment on inflation, safeguard your savings. And we're here today with Brandon Scholz. He is the CEO and president of the Wisconsin Grocers Association. Brandon, thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have you on. So let's jump right into it. So how are we looking at prices right now? Are they continuing to go up? And if so, at what price?
For the first time in gosh knows how many anybody's memory, we're facing sticker shock in the grocery store. And it's something that consumers have never, ever been used to because prices have always been reasonable. The grocery business is very competitive. So grocers want to get that best price on the shelf for people. But we're in a situation now where it's out of our control. It's as we've talked about, you've heard May talk about, it's a supply chain problem because our partners up and down the supply chain can't produce enough product to put on the shelf. And it all boils down to one really simple word, and it's workforce. You don't have enough people to make enough products to put in the trucks, people to drive the trucks, get them to the grocery store, put them on the shelves. So because of that, let's go back to our old Econ 101 class where we missed that week and talked about supply and demand, right? So there's a lot of demand for products out there, all different things, whether it's dairy, deli, canned goods, soup, cereals, juices, you name it. Lots of demand from consumers. But supply is short, and supply is tough to get, and supply is erratic. One week you might have juice on the shelves, and the next week there might be nothing. Over on the other side of the aisle, you might have all the cereal you've wanted, and the next week they're all out of your favorite box of whatever it is. It's very erratic, and it's tough for grocers to try and maintain that stability. But what that does when you have high demand, low supply, price goes up. And it's just simple economics. Now, some good things on the horizon. The Fed is going to try and control inflation by raising interest rates. Kind of good, but maybe not so good if you're looking to buy a house or a car with those interest rates going up. Other things that are out there, there's so much pressure to get people to come back to work so that we can start to fill the supply chain with more products. And when that happens, I don't necessarily know that prices go down. We're looking for stabilization in those price increases and these inflationary runs that we've been having. And I know this month we're going to have another little kick in inflation. One of the important things to remember, though, is when you hear reports that say inflation is up 6% or 7% or 12.5 or whatever number they're going to come up with, it doesn't mean that every product in the store is facing a price increase. Are a lot of facing them? Yes. I mean, you've seen price increases like I have in meat and in dairy and all sorts of different things, whether it's packaging or raw materials or production lines, that happens. But it's not an across the board thing, which is good for consumers because it does give them an opportunity to take a look around. We know most consumers shop on price. I do, you do, who doesn't? They look for good quality, they look for customer service, but they can also still shop for deals and savings and on sale stuff. You see a lot of in-store specials. Fewer coupons from manufacturers, but grocers are trying to offer as many things as they can. We always recommend to people that when they go shopping, they should make a list, they should do meal planning, they should look for specials, they should look for private label. And this is something that's been not new, but over the years has started to expand into the store. You used to see a name your favorite name brand soup or name brand juice or name brand something. And that's what we all bought. We were all used to that name. But there's also now you see that same product with a different name and a different label. And in the industry, we call it private label. And it's made by those manufacturers with the same product, but just somebody else's label. And because it isn't a national brand, so to speak, it's much less. And so if you shop those private labels, it's not generic. It's not like a white package with a little red print on it or something. It's a private brand. It's got all the nutrition facts and everything else. It's the same product. It's priced very competitively, if not better. And a lot of people are looking at that as a way to save money. So you combine private label, in-store sales, coupons when you find them, as well as meal planning that lets you say, I'm gonna shop smart. I'm gonna get this and this and this. I'm gonna make 3 meals out of this and 2 meals out of this, and we'll have a special, something here. Yeah, that's right now. That's what people are going through because those are the options we have. We don't have many more until we see things start to stabilize.
Brandon, do you think that it's better for the consumer price wise to shop locally or to still support these big chains? Where do you think they're going to find the best price?
Well, Wisconsin's a big state and it has lots of markets. Up in Green Bay, you have a lot of great stores, a lot of great markets. It's a tough question because it really depends on where people like to shop. Some people just love to shop their local small store grocer. They can, maybe they have to go somewhere else. Others like going to a big box store that has lots of everything in it, more selection, more groceries. It really depends what their best feeling is. Some specialize in local products, others specialize in name brands. So it's really hard to tell somebody where their loyalty should go, but rather let them find it out. And they have so many options. I mean, you and I could get in the car and drive around town and we'd have our selection of 25 grocery stores and we'd find two or three that we'd like close to our house. And that's probably where we'd go. And I'll add one thing to that. Online shopping has grown so dramatically that the idea of a big store, big box versus a small store, local, and whatever is in between is less prevalent these days because you're looking at an online package where you see the list of products and you see that platform and you order 1, 2, 3 of this, you add it all up and you go pick it up or have it delivered to your home. And almost doesn't matter if you're shopping out of a semi truck, a small store, or a big box.
Yeah, that's a great answer. It's very true. I guess it really just depends on what people like and what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Last question, and you touched on this a little bit, but what are the easiest changes that can help people save? Between you mentioned making a list, looking for coupons, what other little things can people do to really help keep their wallet at bay?
Sure. Well, one of the things we know that since, March of 2020, April of 2020, when everybody really changed their lives, their shopping patterns, what they did, they also became pretty good cooks at home. They learned how to, rather than making 3 meals a week and going out to restaurants a couple other days a week, they've learned how to cook. They've learned how to become great bakers too. So we've seen a lot of things in grocery stores that don't sell a lot of, when people all of a sudden say, "Oh my gosh, we're out of yeast." Who runs out of yeast? But what the point is that because they've become pretty good cooks and chefs and bakers, they have a different perspective from the kitchen than what they used to. So now when they do meal planning, they say, all right, this week, let's this weekend, let's try these 5 or 6 things, and I'm going to go out and buy them now. And I'm going to look for specials. I'm going to look to see what I can to get some in-store deals. And rather than going to the store and saying, oh, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good. Now, I suppose I shouldn't say that, but impulse buying is something that's pretty prevalent to everybody who goes to the store. When you're shopping with a list, when you're filling out a meal plan program that you've put together for your family, it maybe helps you focus a little bit on where you're going to spend your money and what's going to come out of your wallet when you go to the checkout.
That's great advice. Well, that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much, Brandon,
Yeah.
for being with us today and giving us these tips. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.